So, good morning, everybody. All of you, good morning. And today we will complete this particular whole story. Story is the story could be so we have taken inventory and we have taken purchase record and we have taken the transaction. How these things will be gets evaluated and how these things will be gets doing work with this one here. Let us do. And I'd like to clarify one or two issues here. Number one, first issue will be, so look at this one. In terms of inventory, we have been taken, so select everything from inventory. So we do have some data with us. So totally washing soap, bathing soap, and so cleaning soap. So these are 100, 117, and 130. So these are the rates of those soaps here. And second one is select everything from so PUR underscore record, purchase record, RECORD. I don't know. One moment, please. I didn't remember what is the name we have chosen. Select everything from TAB. I did not remember this. Let me go through one more time. Yeah, PUR RECORD. PUR RECORD, purchase record. So select everything from so purchase record. No rows are there. No rows are available. Select everything from so INB. So inventory TRAN, inventory transaction. What happens with the inventory transactions, which we have to consider here. So what exactly it does have its own values. We are not supposed to take any values from the program. So we have to introduce some values into this particular table in a proper way outside of the program. And as and when people will ask to purchase one particular product with some quantity, so let me consider. So I do have washing. Let me open this one, then you could understand very easily. So, okay. Select everything from inventory. So look at this. One customer came to me and asked me, because I am the shopkeeper, and one customer came to me and asked that, do you have bathing soaps? Yes, I do. Then I required some 5 number of bathing soaps. So 5 are required by me. So within this particular purview, I would like to check that whether my quantity is greater than 0 or not. First of all, let me check that my quantity is greater than 0 or not. Second point, if quantity is greater than 0, let me open Paint, then it is very easy to understand. So I have I have required some quantity, some Q. That quantity will be equal to some 5 has been required by me as the customer. And your product quantity, what exactly you do have with you. So your product quantity will be 117. So you need to check that whether excuse me, whether this product quantity will be greater than 0 or not. If it is greater than 0, then you could able to what you call sell that particular item. And also state that, and also checks that, this is one particular condition. This is the first condition. Second condition will be, so this product quantity, so minus required quantity, whatever the required quantity could also be greater than 0. Could also be greater than 0. So these two conditions must be satisfied. So remember, what are the conditions you are expected to apply here in the sense? Number one, first condition could be whether your product quantity, total product quantity, so which is available with you, so with your table, so inventory table, does it is greater than 0. This is first one. And the second condition will be after subtraction of this particular value, user required quantity. So that is PQTY, product quantity. So minus Q, required quantity, will also greater than 0. Okay, will also greater than 0. If these two conditions will be satisfied, then you could able to perform the operation. Let me give one fair example. So my product quantity, PQ, product quantity is having, I mean, in my table, I have some only 3 soaps are available, but the customer which are used to required, so he may be required some 5 quantity. First condition PQTY, that is PQTY is greater than 0, 3 is greater than 0, yes, it is satisfied. But product quantity, so PQ minus Q, so that is 3 minus 5 will be equal to minus 2. Minus 2 could not be greater than 0. So the shopkeeper cannot be process your request because 5 is not available. 5 bathing soaps are not available with him. So I don't have. So such kind of answer will be given to the customer by the shopkeeper. Hope that you understand what is the what are the 2 different conditions we have to apply here. Okay. And secondly, yes, this condition is satisfied. So second option will be, yes, product quantity will be 100 is there with me. Total number of available soaps are 100 pieces are there. So he is asking me 5. So 5 minus 100 minus 5 will be, so now it could be erased, and 100 minus 5 will be 95. Okay, after selling 5 of this quantity, I maybe have 95 more with me. So therefore, there is no problem. 5 will be given to him, and we have to grab the amount from the customer here. This is the specific operation what we have to perform. And the second operation will be, let us check about this one. So I do not remember what is the name. Yeah, purchase record. Okay. So describe PUR underscore RECORD, purchase record. You could see in purchase record, so purchase ID and the purchase transaction date and the message. So here what you are supposed to send here, if these 2 conditions will be get satisfied, yes, purchase product ID will be, for example, it could be 100. Yes, transaction date is today. I am unable to write the date here today, and message will be successful. Yes, your transaction is successful. If first case, let me consider first case, product actual quantity is 3 and required quantity is 5. So finally PQ minus Q equal to minus 2. If that is the case, unsuccessful. Okay, so that is the message which we have to produce over there here. And then next one, describe. So let us consider this particular thing. What exactly you are supposed to store here? Describe inventory transaction here. So here, if you consider the items which are available with inventory transaction, so transaction ID. So we have defined this transaction ID as a primary key, right? This transaction ID as primary key here, and the product ID in the sense, this product ID is a foreign key which could be taken from this inventory. And what is the transaction date? That is actually system date. Today it was happened. That is system date. How much amount you are supposed to grab from the customer? That is. So here my idea is transaction ID is a unique value, and you have to produce. We don't know what kind of value which is already existed within the transaction ID, TID. So let us take some selection here. Select everything from what is that? INB underscore TRAN. Okay, no rows are there. So if for example, let me consider, for example, so already in transaction inventory, inventory transaction under transaction ID, for example, already 2 to 3 rows are there. First ID, second ID, and third ID. 3 rows are available here. For example, if you consider, for example, 3 rows are available. And if I were to select the maximum of this particular transaction ID, TID from the particular table, I maybe have 3 with me. And the next transaction ID will be 3 plus 1. Whatever the maximum of the transaction ID plus 1 will be the next transaction ID. That is 4. This is one case you need to identify. Second case will be in transaction ID. In transaction ID, there are no rows. Rows are nothing. No rows are available here. As we have seen here. So no rows are available in this particular situation. Then what exactly it could be returns? Let us see. What exactly it could be returns here in the sense select. So maximum of what is that? TID So from transaction ID, inventory transaction. So nothing has been displayed here. Nothing has been displayed. So this case will be called as null case. If you have null in transaction ID, if you have null, then you have to initiate the transaction ID doesn't have any data at this moment. If you display this particular value, if this is the case, you must be initiate with 1. Hope that you are understand what I am speaking to you. If this is the case, no data is available with that particular file table, so that maximum of so-called transaction ID will be displays you null. If null will be there, you have to start with 1. If some value will be there, you have to select maximum of transaction ID. So whatever the maximum value you have got, so +1 will be the next transaction ID. So these are the points which we'd like to interested, and we have to introduce into the specific operations here. Let me go ahead and look about this one. Yesterday we have created one particular file that is INV. So EDINV. I have finished some of work here. Some work has been finished here. So look at this. I have created temporary product ID. So what is the message you'd like to place here? Okay, message is not required actually, because directly we have specified this particular message in the insertion. So it is not required actually. It is not required. And how much amount to be paid by the customer have to known. And the temporary product name is required here. That is based on the product name. We need to, so how much quantity he may be required. Required quantity will be taken, and this is the actual quantity which is available within the inventory table. This is N is actual quantity which is there with the specific inventory table, and what is the rate per unit of that particular quantity. Okay, let me place this one at above this one, then it could be very easy to understand. So then followed by M is, so M equal to product quantity minus required quantity. Okay, product quantity minus required quantity. So let me argue. Let me make it as required quantity. Already required quantity is there. So N will be used to store required quantity. N will be used to store required quantity. M will be required quantity, product quantity minus required quantity. So these are the variables which we have available here, and we have selected product ID, product quantity, rate per unit into TPID, and the product quantity will be stored in so N, and rate per unit will be stored in product rate per unit will be stored in RPU from inventory, where product name is equal to TP name. So we have selected the data and placed onto that particular number of variables. Now immediately I have to calculate that. Product quantity has been stored in N here. Product quantity will be stored in N here. So that M equal to N minus required quantity. What is the required quantity? Already have taken here as input. Okay, N minus required quantity will be M. First of all, we need to check that whether product quantity is greater than 0, and so whatever the value, product quantity minus required quantity will be also greater than 0. If these two conditions will be greater than 0, then we will proceed with successful. Otherwise, we would like to specify we don't proceed anything. Whatever the product ID you may be required, so that has been taken into that operation was took place in today, and because of it is unsuccessful because of insufficient quantity. Okay, let me explain. So I haven't taken this particular TID, transaction ID has not been processed here. So for processing transaction ID, what I was explained to you, I'd like to make something here. Okay, TID, transaction ID, which is number of 3 only. I believe that this is number of 3. Number of 5 actually, number of 5. TID is number of 5. Yes, it is number of 5. And if this will be successful, then immediately inventory table will be modified, the operation will be updated, and then whatever the amount you have taken from the customer, you have to take that particular value, and then you need to identify So select what is that? TID from so inventory. Oh, sorry. INV underscore TRAN transaction maximum of TID. Sorry, maximum of TID from INV transaction. I have taken this one, and let me check about this one. If so, wait for a while. I'm sorry. I'm always forget about this particular thing. In PLSQL, it must be into. Into must be there. Into TID, transaction ID. If a transaction ID TID is null, if it is null, then what shall we have to do here? TID will be initiated with one. With one. Otherwise, else it must be so TID will be equal to TID plus 1. Whatever the maximum value we have taken here, so that could be plus 1. So end it. End it. You please observe this one. So from here to here, what exactly it could be done here in the sense, what is the importance of this particular code? Whatever the code I have selected here, so what exactly it could be done here in the sense, it could be taken maximum of transaction ID from the inventory transaction table, and it could be, for example, it could be the first and foremost operation. Then it will be always returns null here. Null will be gets initiated by 1. Otherwise, if it is the second or third or some 20th or 30th operation, obviously maximum will be 30th operation in the sense maximum TID will be 29. 29 plus 1, 30 will be took place here, and you have to insert the same value here. So here we would like to insert TID into this one, and the TPID. So TPID has been taken into consideration. TPID, the PID will be stored in TPID, quantity will be stored in N, and rate per unit, product rate per unit will be stored in RPU. It has been stored, and the TID and the TPID system date, and this amount will be grabbed from the people. So since it is successful, so TPID and the system date, if it is not the case, these two conditions will be gets failed in the sense, any one of these conditions will be gets failed. Obviously, we are not supposed to run anything. Okay. Then at the end, you please introduce commit. Commit operation could be introduced here. So in this way, you have to think out, and in this way, you have to execute. Let me show you here. @INV. Product name is BAT. Okay. Before, wait for a while. Select everything from the INVENTORY inventory. Look at this. This is the previous data. Select everything from INV underscore TRAN. So select everything from so PUR underscore RECORD purchase record. So here no data in transaction, no data in purchase record, and we do have the data with only inventory. Now let me run this particular @INV. Product name is washing soap. WASHING. So SOAP, washing soap. And how much number of washing soaps are required by you? That is 3 number of washing soaps are required by me. So condition is, what is that? Declare no data is found. Where it is? Where exactly? At line 1. Declare no data is found in the sense. Am I typed anything wrong? WASH. Oh, N is not available here. So that is the problem. That is why it is actually exception. Actually, we haven't come across with the exception. So sorry. So let me execute one more time. So @INV. So what is the name? Let me copy from this one, from this one, and paste here. Washing soap, and 3 will be required. Your procedure will be successfully completed. While taking this particular data, you must be care about the spelling of that particular product name. Everything must be in a particular way. Okay, let us check about this one here. Select so everything from INVENTORY inventory. Look at this. So previously the value of washing soap is 100, and you have purchased 3. You have purchased 3, so that it has been updated as 97. And secondly, select everything from so PUR, RECORT, purchase record. So look at this 100, product is 100. It was happened on 29 July 2020 and which is successful. And select everything from so INV, TRAN, how much amount you have grabbed from the person here in the sense, transaction ID. Already I told you, it has been taken in as a first value. So that is why it has been initiated this one. Product age is 100 and operated on 20th, 29th July 2020 and 77 rupees. So 25 into 3, 25.89 into 3, that is 77.67 rupees. Let me execute for one more time. Let me execute for one more time. At the rate INV. Okay, INV. Let me take cleaning soap. Let me copy this one because spellings will be, while typing this one, spellings will be gets initiated. Already 130 are there. Let me take some 45 cleaning soaps are required by me. Yes, your product is get succeeded. So let us check. Number one, so inventory. So 130 minus 45, that is 85. Yes, it has been updated properly. And then purchase record. Yes, it's also be succeeded. It's also be succeeded. And then what is that? Inventory transaction. You may be pay 2,000 rupees 65 2065.05 paisa has been paid. Let me execute one more. Let me execute INV. So product name is again cleaning soap. Again, cleaning soap is the product name. And let me copy this one for a while. Quantity will be 100 is required by me. 100. Actually, 100 is not available. The quantity is not succeeded here. Okay. Succeeded. Product procedure is successfully completed. So let us inventory. So 100 is required by you. The customer is requested for 100. It is not available, so that there is no modification. So it is not executed in a proper way. And purchase record. So it has been unsuccessful because of insufficient quantity. There is no sufficient quantity, so it could not be done anymore. And then what is that? One more thing is transaction. Nothing is there because if this particular request is rejected, and nothing will be there in the transaction, you could not get any money here. So therefore, these are the specific operations where exactly you need to consider. You need to consider here. So here, extra information also be existed. That is, if any exception will be raised, what exactly you have to do. We will discuss when we are coming across the exceptions. We will also, come back to this particular program one more time. Simply speaking, INB, this is the program. This is the specific pure database program, which is used to solve one particular database application program here. Okay, in this way you are supposed to do. Okay, you would like to do this particular program in a proper way. That's also be there. That's also be there here. So like this, you may be operate if your if structures. Okay, if structures will be gets operated in such a fashion. Okay, in such a fashion you have to operate. Now, let me come across with loops, iterative control. Iterative control statements. How these iterative control statements will be evaluated here? Let us evaluate. So there are three different types of iterative control statements are available with Oracle. So number one, loop followed by end loop. Number two, so while. Number three, for. These are the three different types of iterative control structures are there. And the first one, this particular iterative control structure, loop and loop will be so infinite loop and loop here. It could be executed forever. You could not have explicitly. You could not have any what you call application of any condition. Condition could not be explicit condition is not existed. then what shall you have to do when you are supposed to come out from this particular thing here? In the sense, you may be used a particular condition exit when condition. Use this particular exit operation. So when you have to exit from this particular loop and end loop. Normally, it could be seems in such a way. Syntax will be seems. So loop controller LC will be equal to some value, whatever the value you are specified here. Then followed by loop, then set of statements, whatever the set of statements you are expected to write. So normally it could be seems in such a way, end loop, okay. And in the meanwhile, you have to update LC. LC must be LC equal to LC minus 1 or LC equal to LC plus 1, whatever it may be. You could based on your application, you have to update the value. Okay, but here there is no specific condition to be exit from this particular loop. Okay, there is no specific condition to be come out from this particular loop. So explicitly there is no specific condition. So that is why you have to include this particular condition if it is required. If it is required, so exit when condition could be taken into consideration if you required. If it is not required, if you want to make that particular operation in indefinite mode or continuous mode, then you could execute without this particular statement. Normally, iterative control structures could not be executed as infinite loops. Could not be executed as infinite statements here. So that is why exit when is always required. Exit when is always required. So let us do one particular problem on this one. Let us do a small problem, numerical problem only, simply numerical problem. The problem will be, so I'd like to produce, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on up to n. You will take an input for n will be equal to some 20. So 1 to 20 numbers will be produced. Natural numbers will be generated. So that is what the intention is. Okay. So look at ED LOP. Okay, loop. Let me put some particular name. Loop. LOOP. Okay, no problem at all. Yes. So here what you are supposed to do here, declare one variable is required, two variables are required, that is I, which is number of some 3 or 4. Okay, let me take a number of some 7, something like that, which will be equal to 1, and n as input, which is also number of 7, so which will be equal to take some input here, that is ampersand n, then begin the BEGIN, begin the work. So already I have declared the loop initiator. Loop initiator I value has been declared here, so that loop. Okay. So what exactly I am trying to do here is DBMS underscore out put underscore line. DBMS output underscore line. So I have to produce the value of I here. Okay, I here. After this one, what I am trying to do, I will be equal to. Okay, let us check this one here. Exit when so I will be greater than that particular value n. So it must be always returns false. Somewhere else it could be returns true only. Okay, then I will be equal to I plus 1. I will be gets incremented. Okay, and loop, then followed by end the program and come out. Okay, end of the program and come out. Let me execute this one for a while at the rate LOOP. So let me take the input here for a while. So that is okay. It could be taken greater than or equal to. Condition will be greater than or equal to. Greater than or equal to. Of course, you have to trial and error method only. So greater than or equal to n. Then you have to exit from the loop. At the rate LOOP, n value equal to, let me say that is 10, has been produced. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 and so forth will be gets produced. in this way, loop and end loop will be gets executed or evaluated. Okay. So the condition will be loop controller will be equal to value, and you have to follow whatever the set of statements you are expected to perform. You have to perform those operations here. And let me come across with while. While. So while will be also taken. Loop controller is equal to value as value. You have to initiate the value while okay condition. Yeah, while condition, whatever the condition you are expected to done, then followed by loop. So loop is the starting of your while loop, and whatever the set of statements you are supposed to write, yes, you could write our own set of statements here. Then end loop. End loop. Before going to apply this particular end loop, you need to update the value of update loop controller. Okay, update the loop controller. Obviously, it could be gets updated. Then your condition will be gets. So do something here. Let me operate for one more time. So the same problem will be gets evaluated here. Here, WHI while. So let me do declare. So same problem. I number of some seven digit number which will be equal to 1. So n as a number of again seven digit number which will be equal to ampersand of n. So begin. So what exactly we are trying to do here is, so loop controller I has been declared initially. So while so I less than or equal to n, so loop, okay, DBMS. Today my internet connection was not that much good, so that is why I was disconnected for a number of times. This is the second time. I'm sorry for that. Today I don't know why. What happens? I don't know. That PUT underscore line of I value can be produced here. Then so I value could be I is equal to, so I plus 1. Okay, ENDLOOP end loop. So end and then slash. Okay, simple, very simple. These are. So at the rate WHI, value of n will be equal to 10. It could be produced. Same kind of output. So you could write something like this. Okay, you could write something like this. In this way, you have to return. Okay, so in this way, you have to return here. Now, so what about for loop? For loop can be done something like this. So for loop control LC in not in actually LC right away from upper bound to lower bound to 2 in the sense it could be taken only two dots only, lower bound to upper bound, UB upper bound. Okay, yes, I'm sorry, since my internet connection is not stable today, so that is why it has been disconnected for a number of times. However, it is about to close. Okay, in, so there is one more word, REVERSE, in reverse of lower bound to upper bound loop. So whatever the set of statements you are supposed to be execute, yes, you could execute those many number of statements. Okay, ENDLOOP, end loop. Okay, something like this. Okay, so here initially loop counter will be allocated. So loop counter will be equal to lower bound. Every end loop will be executed. Loop counter will be gets increased internally. and it could be checked that whether it is reached to upper bound or not. Okay, loop counter will be always assigns to lower bound. Every end loop will be executed, then loop counter will be increased by 1 and checks that whether upper bound will be reached or not. Okay, in this way it is going to be evaluated here. Let us do the same problem for this one also. The same problem, ed for. Okay, let us do this one also. Declare so I as number of some 5 or 4, whatever it may be, equal to 1. Okay, not required here. Assignment is not required. N as so number of 5, which will be equal to, so take some kind of input here and then begin. So here for our loop counter is I in lower bound is 1, 2 upper bound is n. So loop, okay, DBMS underscore output dot put underscore line of I has been put input, then end loop. So each and every time if end loop will be gets executed, obviously, so I will be gets incremented and also checks that whether it has been reached to n or not. Okay, in this way. So it's very pretty much simple. Look at this at the rate for. So let me take the value, so it could be generated. And if you want to perform, produce the same data in reverse order, so something like this, in reverse order in the sense, so nothing has to be implemented here. After in REVERSC, you just take reverse. Okay, so in reverse and at the rate for. So let me take again 10 here. It could be generated in reverse order. Okay, so in reverse, where exactly you have to operate, reverse will be taken. So loop controller will be assigned with the upper bound. Every end loop will be taken -1. Okay, so if it is in will be there with us, then loop controller will be assigns with a lower bound, and every end loop will be gets executed. So loop controller will be equal to loop controller plus 1, and then checks that whether loop controller is less than or equal to so n or not. These two will be checks if in. Same procedure, if the same procedure will be took place in terms of so in reverse, what exactly it could be done? If in reverse will be there, then loop controller will be assigned to so upper bound, and loop controller